Welcome back to the Indie Magazine Podcast. This is an episode accompanying the release of Kevin Massey's collaborative album, Flows. Today he's talking with Upgrade, a Las Vegas-based rapper. Enjoy.
I'm here with Upgrade Hip Hop, the man, the myth, the legend, the man.
All the above. All the above.
Yeah. How you doing, man?
I'm good. I am chilling,
Dog sitting?
Dog sitting. It's my, let me see if I can get them in here.
No.
She's very old.
Dog.
Russ, come here. And, Russ, up here.
Oh,
So good.
adorable. That was an adorable doggy.
Yeah.
How great.
Yeah. But yeah, just dog sitting, hanging,
Sick, man. That sounds dope. That sounds like a good time. Okay, well, let's talk about some music things. So first, I gotta ask, just because I'm curious, do you want to talk about the Spotify controversy, or are you like, I'm done even thinking about that?
Oh, no, that's fine. We
Okay.
can. Yeah.
Okay, because it's wild to me, and I think it's like super interesting. So can you explain what happened to those listening? Because I think it's a fascinating just thing that happened to you.
Yeah, so they I randomly got a message from Spotify that was like pretty much said that two of my songs were hit with like getting artificial plays, and that like none of them were real or something. So I was like, okay, whatever. I thought it was just something I had to figure out, fix, whatever with them. And then after contacting them, there's a longer story. I don't want to go,
Right.
to a whole nother 8-minute rant, but pretty much long story short, they said that I guess that it could be something where like, I guess bots or somebody can just add them to a playlist, and then that means like just randomly they could just do that, and you can get hit with it, whatever it is, because pretty much if you don't know, everybody can buy these bots and get fake plays and all this kind of stuff, which I think is very stupid, for the, just because it's kind of just to look cool. For the most part, you don't really know exactly how your music really is moving when you do that.
Right.
So I've always been I've never touched anything like that. So it was this weird thing, but then I tried to contact them, and they just said that pretty much there was nothing that they could do, and they took off the songs, and there was no way of them telling that it was fake views either, which was interesting because they couldn't even tell me where they were from. But I've been seeing it happen to other people recently.
Really?
Yeah. So I actually just saw, there's somebody on TikTok I follow. Her name is Mandy Mayhem. And she just made a story of her like after finding it out, and she had way more, it was like more like viral success kind of thing, and had a lot of, she had like millions of views or plays on her thing, and her song got taken off, and she was like, there wasn't anything that she could do. And it was the same kind of situation, and that's where I started to get nervous, was mainly of like, this could happen to anybody, and there's no way to like combat back or do like there's nothing there. It's just you just kind of have to eat it. So that is scary.
It's insane.
Yeah, because again, if you did pay for promotion or you did pay for these bots, like okay, you kind of would expect that to probably happen because eventually but when this is happening to people that aren't, and they could just say that it did, it's just it's scary. It is scary. And luckily it's only been Spotify. What
Yeah.
sucks about that is I use Spotify the most. I mean, that's what I have the subscription for. So I mean, like, it makes me want to subscribe to Apple Music or whatever it is, because those haven't been hit at all. Like, there hasn't been an issue with those. So
Right.
I don't know why it's just Spotify that's doing this. And yeah, again, like, now that I'm seeing it more, and I had people that I know reach out to people that work for Spotify. I know people that like personally know somebody who would work, and nobody could help. So it hasn't been something that's like, I had somebody else reach out to me and kind of, with like this really long, it was like, it was almost like too in depth. And I was just like, I don't know if I want to get this crazy into it. Cause I was like, this isn't just a me thing.
Right.
I kind of wanted to wait until I wanted to put it out there to kind of let people know it was happening. But I had a feeling that, I think I even say at like the end of the video, I was like, it's more, other artists should just be worried about this, because this isn't, like just something. I knew that it wasn't just going to happen to me.
Right.
So, and now that I personally saw it just happen to somebody else, that I was like, this is kind of scary. Because again, you can go by right now, you can have the biggest song ever, and they could just be like, man, and take that off. And again, it's not about money and any kind of, I don't make shit off of that, off of streaming or nothing like that. It's just like, come on, like, this is not true. And they don't give you an option of like, not true, let me like show you or something. Like, there's not that option. It's just, they tell you like, remember, you weren't supposed to do this. You clicked that little check that said so. Just say that you're not going to do it again. It's like, wait a second, we're not doing this fucking high school shit with me.
Right.
Oh, I should have asked you if I could curse.
Oh yeah, I'm not worried about it.
Okay. Yeah.
I've had enough podcasts where people just start swearing, and I'm just like, yeah, keep going, it's whatever.
Yeah. I forgot. Yeah.
Yeah, you're totally good. I feel like just the fact that this is a hip hop album, and like that I'm featuring with like a lot of hip hop artists, it's almost expected that in interviews, these are people who do swear in the podcast. That's just way you guys speak. So it's not even like a thing,
Yeah. I just forgot.
No, you're good. You're good.
Unfortunately, it's in my vocabulary.
I wouldn't worry about it. I mean, I think, especially with your subject matter, I feel like,
yeah.
Sometimes, people are rapping about things and it's like, oh, like, yeah, if they took out a swear word, maybe this wouldn't be explicit. But I feel like with some of the subject matter you go into in your songs, it's like, no, this should, you probably shouldn't have kids listen to this.
Yeah, it's been, it's funny because I've done shows that were like all ages, but I always make sure I tell them beforehand. I say, you sure like this is okay? Because I'm really, really bad at two things. I'm really bad at memorizing lyrics, and I'm really bad at censoring myself, because then I have to think about lyrics even more. And so between those two things, the easiest thing for me is to just say, do you know like what I do? If you hired me for this show, like, like that's okay. And they'll say it's okay. And all right. I mean, there might be like, I'll do my best. If they tell me like, well, can you just not do this song, or can you just not do it? It's like, that's fine. No problem.
Right.
But if you hire me and say something like no cursing, it's just kind of like, that's going to be really difficult for me. You know what? Actually, it wouldn't be difficult, but I would just have to do a completely different set. Because not everything is super like vulgar and stuff, but like, I would just have to do a whole different set. But I've done all age shows. I did I just recently performed in a church, which it was just part of like a festival, and that was just one of the venues. It was very, very cool. It was like a
Right.
super cool venue, but I mean, I double checked too, just to make sure. I was like, I'm not gonna be like, um, I don't want other people to get like offended at all.
Right.
Um, I'm okay with it if you're okay with it, but do you realize like I will be cursing and stuff? Is that okay? And they were fine with it. They were just like, yeah, they're a super liberal church and they're okay with it. I'm like, if you guys say it's fine, that's cool. It
Right.
was still a little uncomfortable. I'm not gonna lie. It was,
Oh yeah, that would be very strange to be like knowing your set and like having been to a few of your shows, thinking of the idea of like, oh, Upgrade doing this set in a church. Like I can't imagine Richard or like the old lady song in
yeah,
a church.
yeah,
Those sound insane.
yep. And I kept them in because I was like, they said it would be okay. I mean,
Right.
I did see a couple people leave, like, but I get it. I get it.
Right.
But it was straight. It was a very strange feeling. Which doesn't, it takes a lot for me to feel awkward. But that was one of the times where it's like, it's almost like, oh, okay, this is nice. I haven't felt this before. Like, it's been a while. It's been a while since I've been uncomfortable on stage. So I was like, yeah, this would be fun.
Did you have a point when you first, because your subject matter is like, first of all, really interesting and really intelligent, but it is sometimes like vulgar and like kind of vulnerable with like some really personal things. Were there points when you first started that you got really uncomfortable because of the subject matter you were going over, or is that for the most part that not hasn't been a thing for you?
Yeah, I mean, I felt there was one project that I did. It was called Chemical Imbalance, and it was the first project that I kind of started to get some kind of like, like there was like something happening that I
Right.
kind of felt like a shift in, and I ended up signing with this label, Equal Vision Records, which is like mainly a rock label, but they kind of wanted to branch out.
Okay.
And I was like alternative enough to the point that they were like, yeah, let's give it a shot, kind of thing. And the whole album is about mental health for the most part, and my struggles with mental health and things like that. And when I first started to write, like past albums or projects or whatever I was doing, there would always be like a song here and there, but never like a full project of this. And it was kind of something that I kind of like, I wasn't uncomfortable because I felt like I had to do it, but I was more uncomfortable with like the people around me that, were kind of, I guess, working with me in a sense. And I kind of was like, this is going to be a little like darker, but for like the whole time. Cause there was like, I had a lot of songs that were very dark and in those, like with those elements, but I never just dedicated a full thing to it. And, so I did. The only thing I had kind of had to like warn them was like, all right, this isn't going to be like the other projects, but it's something I have to do. So just like work with me.
Right.
After this, we'll get back to normal scheduled things and whatever. But it ended up working out because that's still like the most probably like the most important project, just because of the amount of people that were affected by it and reached out to me with like really deep stories and personal stories and things about just getting messages like you're the reason I didn't commit suicide, or you saved my life, and things like that were like I mean, I get amazing. I guess isn't the right word. It's not the right word. I don't want people to go through that, but like it was I don't know. There's something that's also something you can't put like any price tag on that or whatever. So it didn't nothing when I made the project was like, oh, I want to like make money off of this. But I was hoping that more people would hear it. So it was part of the reason of me signing with the record label, even though it didn't go that great. But what was good is that it kind of again boosted me outside of just being like, oh, it's just another local rapper. Like now I kind of had something behind me of like, well, look, I'm now somewhat validated in this fucked up game, that it's like, so now people can look at it a little bit differently and maybe want to give it a second listen or whatever it is. But yeah, so I mean, so I went from, I think actually I was probably more uncomfortable with the project after that because I didn't want to talk about mental health for a full project again. But now I felt like I kind of like almost put myself in this box of like being a depressed, like just really anxious, depressed person. And then it was like, but I don't, I wanted that project to be that project. I didn't want to just make another one of those. I didn't want, I mean, if it happens, then it happens. I've had other projects that have gotten very, very dark. Some I think are even darker than that one. But so I was more nervous about the next project after that because I was like, shit, now I don't know if people are gonna like this if I'm going in different directions and trying out other things that I feel at the time. So I actually went with like an alter ego, which is Schmucky Thompson. Okay. And it was, and I had these, there were like these costume glasses or something that like, made your eyes look weird or whatever. And I kind of started to, when I would perform, I would perform like these chemical imbalance songs. And then when I did songs like something in the vein of like Richard or one of these things, I put these glasses on and do those songs and then like take them off and go to whatever. So it would kind of be like, it would switch it up. And the cover of the album were the glasses. So I did that. I think I was most scared then because I just didn't know how people were going to take it. Cause I feel like if you've been listening to me before, it's not going to be that big of a deal because you know that I do it. But a lot of people were just turned on to me from that one project. So it's like, oh shit, now if all of a sudden I'm talking about this or whatever, I don't know if they're going to like it. So it was my way of also being like, look, if they don't like it, then I'll just say, oops, that was the alter ego, back to being depressed, like,
right.
That was my way out. Yeah. So then I like slowly did, then like, I was like just trying to like build off of that to get people like comfortable with like, okay, he'll kind of, well, we don't know what we're going to get. And then, when he makes a song, we're not really sure. So I think now, I mean, I'm comfortable. Just comfortable with like whatever comes to mind, is like, that's what I like to write about. It's just like, it's life. It's, right. You have a great day. You have a horrible day. You have a day where you love older women. You have another day where you're very depressed and crying over some girl that left you when you were in middle school. So, all those things can happen.
Right. And they're all like part of who you are. It's not like there's like this, right. These separate kind of individuals. It's like, no, this is the full package you're getting here. Yeah. Yeah. And it, I do like, I pride myself in just being as honest as I can be. Like, obviously
things are exaggerated to, I don't know, just like they're exaggerated in movies or whatever, but
Right.
doesn't mean that the type of what I'm saying is still being very honest. Like,
Right. The emotion's still there.
yeah. And I'm still being myself, and that's the one thing I always thought was the most important thing about making music in general, and especially in hip hop. I feel like, that was like the reason I loved it so much and gravitated towards it. Was like, you had to be real in order to get respect for the most part. But that didn't matter what real meant. It just meant being yourself. And that's why I feel like I've gotten respect in wherever I've gone, because it's like, I'm okay if you don't like my music and stuff. That's fine. But you can't really hate on it. You can't be like, oh, like that was, it's just like, well, what am I supposed to do? I'm not going to make, a song about something I don't know about. So I'm fine with the fact that you don't like it, but you can't really, you can't get mad at what's real to me or something. Like, it's just,
Right. You can't like deny the expertise in what's going on type of thing.
Yeah. I mean, I definitely try to also, bend words a certain way and do things that I think are like, kind of like if you put it into like basketball terms, it's like all the ball handling stuff is awesome. And,
Right.
making a shot from half court is amazing. But then it's like, the real spoken or unspoken heroes are the people with like the rebounds and the assists and all these kind of things. It's just like, that's the base of it, but then the other stuff is really cool too. Cause I like to also, try to do all these things that are still going to make somebody who listens to hip hop be like, oh shit, like he's actually doing something that's, more than just an average. I don't know. You're not just putting words together or whatever. You're still trying to like make this a skillful thing, and which I think makes it really fun also.
Right.
Although it does suck when people don't appreciate some of those things a lot of times, and things just go over people's heads,
Yeah. Yeah. It's interesting. Dr. Larry Coleman and I have had several discussions about your music because we're both fans of what you do. And we'll talk about it, and he'll say to me sometimes, he's like, I don't think everyone gets it. They don't get how good he is. Like, because he goes into these subjects that seem silly and he's very funny, like people think he's just funny, but then you listen to his albums and you start doing these deep dives and you're like, oh shoot, this guy's incredible. Like, he's one of the best rappers in town. And in my opinion, like, your last album was the best album, like best rap album of 2023. Like, so good.
Yeah.
It was so just like, I listened to it front to back and I was like, holy cow, this is excellent. Like, there's not a bad track on it. And you approach so many just incredibly interesting topics. And I was like, dude, this guy, he doesn't mess up. He doesn't miss, that's how I felt.
I appreciate that. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. I mean, your skill in wordplay is excellent. Your rhyme schemes, your cadence is great. And also just your taste for samples and production is so good. Like, it's so well versed. It comes from a place of someone who like really has a deep understanding of what's going on in the music that they like. That's the vibe I get, at least.
Yeah. No, thank you. And I also do I made all the production on that record too. And that was something also that took me a while to get comfortable with, but same with, I just kind of got sick of like waiting on people. So I would just started to try to figure it out on my own. And that did take a while because there's some beats on some older projects that maybe I was like, I don't know if I really too happy with how that one came out, but I'm always learning with that stuff too. So it's cool. But yeah, it was that also, even like recording and mixing myself, it's I think could be much better, but like once I got to the point where I was okay with releasing something and I didn't I kind of went from like one project where I had somebody else, do all the mixing and mastering everything. And then when I did the next one, as I was trying to figure it out on myself, I didn't tell anybody, but I just put it out. And all I did was just wait to hear if somebody was going to be like, yo, this is cool, but it sounds like shit. It's like, but nobody did. So then I was like, all right, cool. I at least reached that point where nobody's really noticing.
Nobody's noticing.
Yeah. If you're like a crazy audiophile or whatever, I'm sure there's plenty of things you're going to hear that's wrong. But, if it sounds good enough to release it, for me, I think that's cool, because I don't have money to pay for that,
Right.
But it's also, it gives me something to still keep learning. I want to get better at that. I want to get better at making beats. I want to get better at rapping. That's what I've always, I don't see like really a peak there. It's like, it's great to always be learning and stuff. And I'm also really bad at like talking myself up for the most part. Not because I don't think I'm like good, because I wouldn't do it if I didn't, but it's just like, I just feel, I think there's a lot of unnecessary, like, I don't want to say confidence, because confidence is good to have. No matter, I don't care if it's unnecessary. You could be the fucking worst. If you got good confidence, that's great. But like, just being like real in general, and just kind of telling people like, it's all right to be a little critical or like nervous about something, or, say like, I didn't really like this, or, something. And to like, cause I feel like you're just going to get better in that sense. And like, as much as we all want, think that we're the best, just hip hop artists and stuff, and you have to have that. It's like, sometimes you do want to admire somebody and be like, God damn, I don't know if I'm ever going to hit that level. I listen to somebody like Black Thought or, people like that, and I go, you know what? There's always going to be somebody that I'm going to strive to hit, because I don't think I'll ever get on that level, like, and that's good. That's good to have, because then you're constantly going to challenge yourself, Yeah.
Yeah. I like that idea of like understanding your limitations. I actually find the grandstanding in hip hop to be one of the things that like draws me to it, because I just think it's so funny. Like, it's weird to go to a hip hop show and like walk around and you hear like 4 different MCs all say, I'm the best in Las Vegas. Like, to me, that is hilarious.
Yeah.
They're not all the best. And half the time they're not even the people performing that night. So it's like, what are you talking about? Like, and they're just like, like, secret about me, I'm the best MC in Vegas. Like, everybody knows it. And I'm like, what? Like,
yeah,
it's just hilarious to me. It literally cracks me up to no end.
And and again, it's good to have the confidence, but also I think it's better to be self-aware of like, you can feel like you are the best in, in the town or whatever it is. But also like kind of work on having other people want to say that about you too. Like, that's, the other thing though too, is I'm back in New York, where I spent most of the time was in Kingston, New York. And there was so much of that going on, of who's the top 5 in Kingston, who's the top 5 best rappers in Kingston, top 5. And people would get into fights over it, like really get into, like, you didn't put my name on, like, yo, fuck you, this, whatever. And it was one thing that I always, like, I never cared about.
Right.
Because it was like it's all right if not to mention too, it's all opinion based anyway, and it's usually like their friends. Obviously, it's like their three best friends are on the top three. It's like, yeah, of course,
Yeah.
what do you? But I never cared about that because I was always like, that's cool to be, the best here. But like when you go an hour upstate and nobody knows who you are, when you go to this state over here and nobody knows who you are, and you go over here, it's like, for me, I was like that. It was like the bigger picture of like, well, I want people to say I'm one of the best in the world, or what, like that's what
Right.
what I think would be great.
Yeah.
It's like just having people in this little spot is like, I don't really know what we're bragging about. It's like we're,
Right.
It's nice. It's nice. Of course, it's great. It's awesome. I don't, if somebody thinks I'm one of the best from here or one of the best, it's awesome. I love it. But yeah, but I think just wanting, like I always wanted it to be a bigger thing, which is why like touring and all that was so great. Because it was like it's also a good wake up call too when you go to a spot where it's like, shit, nobody knows who I am here.
Right.
But winning them over, I think, is still the best feeling.
Right.
That's what was really fun about coming to Vegas, is it was a completely new market that I didn't really know anybody or anything, like especially in the music industry and or hip hop scene or anything. It was like, let's see what this is about. So now I'm doing open mics again, and now I'm doing these things, which, again, I could have had some kind of ego and been like, oh, like they should be hiring me. They don't know who I am. They're
Right.
not ready. They're not ready for me. And it's like, but no, they just don't know who the fuck you are. So,
Right.
and it's fun. And the open mics were great. I met some great people at the open mics. I would do open mics still to this day. Like,
Right. I mean, I met you through you coming to the open mic.
yeah, exactly. And that was like, and it was fun. It was, it was really fun. I think there was like a couple behind me that, I think once I got on stage and started performing, I think they left, and I like that was so funny to me. Like those things are great. That again, I don't know. They might have just wanted to leave.
Right. What's funny is that I think one couple left, but then afterwards there was a couple who came up to me and they were like, "Who is that guy?" And I was like, "I'm figuring out the same thing myself. Like, I think he's incredible." We were just both like gushing over your act, and that's the thing that happens.
Right. And it's so fun, and you never know. You really never know. Like, I don't know. I don't think open mic should get a bad rep at all, and I think they're so fun, and it's I think just again, I think it's an ego thing. I think it's more like,
right.
I think ego more than confidence. Just like don't have like that. Don't have such an ego. Be confident, obviously, because like that's how you should feel and everything. But like the ego is just so crazy with some people. Like it's just like, come on, you gotta just tone it down a little bit. Like, look, we're all, until I like bought my mom a house and I'm living fully off of music, like then look, I hope my ego gets to the point where I'm like, fuck these open mics, you amateurs, I hope I get to that point, but
I think it's interesting because I feel like even if I was doing stadiums, just like a massive, like Bad Bunny level artist, right?
Yeah.
I would still want to do the occasional open mic just to test new material. Because I'd be like, I don't know if this is going to go over well in a big group. So let me test it in a small group where no one's hearing me, where it's like, there's, maybe 10 people there, and see how they feel about it.
Yeah. And also, I mean, and I say that jokingly too, because I still feel like, I think maybe it'll like, people get to the point of just being like, whatever. They're just like, ego is so gone. It's just more of like people that probably, got put on maybe too fast or were, linked through somebody else. So it's like they didn't really have to do a lot of work. But I mean, like, right now, I don't think there's a single thing, the stadiums, whatever. I mean, when I did uh, this Coheed and Cambria cruise, which I'm really good friends with the band, and they had me on there, and I performed, and I'm performing this sold out cruise ship. Leaving the dock, seeing like the Miami skyline or whatever, and it's like people are screaming, and I'm jumping and stage diving, and it's like the craziest thing. The whole rest of the cruise, everybody is stopping me here and stopping, taking pictures, and holy shit, oh my god, that was amazing, that was amazing, all this stuff. But then like you get back home, and that's almost like, it's like there's got to be a word for like I don't know, post shows
Yeah.
depression or something.
I call it coming down from the mountain.
Yeah, because it's like, as amazing, it's probably the best experience I ever had in my life.
That sounds amazing.
But I was still very much like, I'm still going back to normal life, like I gained a lot of new fans, and it was amazing. And, people still are interested in the music after a year, after 2 years and stuff. And it's really cool. But, I'm still going back to open mics. I'm still going to try to find shows. I'm still having, this. And it's all fine. It's just like, I think the main thing is having that like persistence of like, one good thing isn't going to completely change your outlook on everything. It's not going to make everything, not everything's going to change in that one instance or
right.
whatever. And it's going to, you just got to keep moving still. And like, just like if you're starting again, all right, back to the drawing board, the normal same old grind and stuff, and not, feel again, it's just the egos are just nasty these days. I really don't like that. But I don't, like I think in a lot of the music too, I try to kind of like, it's like not make fun of it, or not, but just like make it very well known that I'm just like, I'm still trying to just do the same shit that everybody else is. I'm still, I'm still whatever. I have no money from music. I'm still this. I'm still struggling here. But I'll do it usually in like a self-deprecating,
right,
humor way, which is a big thing for me.
Yeah, I feel like you have the mind of a comedian with the skill of an expert rapper. That's like the vibe I get.
Yeah, that's perfect. Because and that's it's funny too, because like I get a lot of this stuff with like the comedian things, and people have told me to like try to do that, but it's such a different beast. I looked up the stand-up comics as like they got the hardest job in the world, because
interesting.
I always say like, if people don't like my music as I'm performing, there's at least I can't hear anything. Like the music's still playing, I'm still doing my thing. I can't, but like when you bomb as a comic and it's just that silence, or you just hear one person that then they start heckling or whatever, it's like, that's gotta be horrible. And it's such a different beat too. It's like, it's so different too, to be funny, but then to also perform a joke or something. Right. It's like two different things.
It's intimidating. Well, and especially like I'll see comedians, because I run the Taverna open mic, and so I'll see comedians come in to do it, and I'm almost like nervous for them, because I'm like, it's mostly a music open mic. You know what I'm saying? Like 99% of the acts going up there are musicians. We get occasional poets, but when a stand-up comic gets up there, I'm like, let's see how this crowd's going to react, because they're not there for comedy. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
If you go to like a comic open mic, everyone's there for comedy, and I'm like, ooh. And then sometimes they kill it still, and I'm like, okay, this person has like serious, insane talent. But a lot of the times it's a tough crowd.
Yeah.
You
Yeah,
know?
I did a comedy open mic, but I just performed like the Grandma's Boy one and stuff like
Mhm.
that, and were like some of the more funnier songs that I had, which actually went pretty well. But it's still like it's different. It's also
Right.
it's kind of like weird to have like comics and then to go up and try to like perform a song. I don't know. It's interesting. But again, at the time when I first came out here too, I was doing like 5 open mics a week just to see what was going on, just to
Right.
even like But but yeah, no, it's tough. It's tough, and yeah, to do to do stand up in the middle of a music open mic, it's got to be even worse.
Oh, it's I every time I see it, I'm like, well, they better have balls of steel because this is going to be super intense.
Yeah.
It's a difficult thing to do. I feel like what you're doing makes a little bit more sense of going into a comedy open mic, doing a hip hop set that's incredibly funny. I feel like people would still get it. Like it still makes sense to them.
Yeah. It wasn't that. Yeah, it wasn't that bad or anything. It was actually pretty fun,
Yeah, I'd imagine.
but yeah. Kind of just gotta read the crowd a little bit.
Right. Right. So you came. I'm just trying to get like a little bit of the origin story. So how long ago did you move to Vegas?
Yeah, so I think at the end of 2020, like
Okay.
October 2020. Yeah, like it's kind of like with everybody else when the pandemic just kind of was like, what is going on?
Right.
And well, actually, I can just funny story of how I got here is I was touring with this the world's smallest adult entertainer, or it's the world's smallest proportioned adult entertainer, and I was like kind of supposed to be like her DJ,
Yeah.
and like made like custom songs for her and stuff to dance to, and then and I was touring with her, and then we went to Vegas, and I met a lot of people kind of in the industry, in the adult industry,
Right.
and which spawned a whole other thing of me like filming, not in the video, but like I was just filming and editing for people in the industry. And then I made enough connections that I was like, you know what, let me try. It was like the pandemic hit, especially in New York, it was like really, really bad. And
Yeah.
so there was like nothing going on. And I'm like, you know what? It's actually kind of a good time for me to just try something new. I actually always wanted to go to the West Coast. My ideal like I was like trying to get to like San Diego or something.
San
And I
Diego's
was like,
beautiful.
yeah. And I really just wanted some fucking warm weather.
Yeah.
But yeah, so then I met some people, randomly reached out to someone, was like, hey, do you know anybody looking to rent a room or whatever? And they ended up renting me a room for, it was like 500 a month because she was using it as
Nice.
like an Airbnb. And I was like, cool. I was like, I'll just go and try it out. I was like, I'll give myself 3 months. If I didn't make a penny, if nothing came out of this, I'm good for 3 months. And I
Right.
wasn't worried about having to come back. Like if it didn't work out, so I think that was good too, without like feeling like a failure, like, oh shit, like I failed because I didn't
Right.
but yeah, so then I ended up in Vegas, and I had I don't know, I've just been like kind of freelancing since what do they say, like jack of all trades, like master of none type of
Right.
thing. It's kind of like, so and just following wherever it's going is just like just following stuff, like not
Right.
even, I guess you can even put into like, oh, the universe is whatever. But sometimes, I don't know, sometimes it's like it's weird that things just pull you towards a certain way, and it's just like, fuck it, I'm just gonna go with it.
Right.
Yeah, like, and so I've been doing that since, and I just have such a weird like resume, I guess, if you can even call it that. But it's like, I mean, I really like, I had a whole dog sitting, dog walking business that I kind of that I was doing in New York. That was a huge thing, like locally. And at first, when I did that, I was like, for me, I was just like, I like animals more than I like people. So I was like, this would be great for me in general. I just, I want to hang out with dogs and stuff. And so but if you go on like one of like the Rover apps or these different like apps and stuff, on paper, it was like I'm competing against, veterinarian or like people in school to be a veterinarian, people who have experience in this is this we hear whatever. And my profile was just like, I'm the type of person that, I go to the party and look for the dog or something, or like,
Right.
it was like on paper, you're not going to hire me, but it became word of mouth because people were like, oh, well, he's great with dogs and, they love him. So, okay. Like, yeah, we'll have, oh, you need a dog sitter. I know somebody for that,
Nice.
so, but yeah, so it's like, so I had that as a little side business, then got into filming and editing in the adult industry,
Right.
and then doing and then like music. I mean, it's pretty much all stuff to just fund my music. It's like,
Right. Yeah.
but I don't hate any of those things. It could be a lot worse. I've
Oh,
had way
100%.
worse jobs, like, so.
Interesting. Okay, cool. And so so you're from the Kingston area of New York, you said, right? Or
So yeah, kind of. It's weird. Like I was born in Brooklyn, grew
okay.
up upstate around like Middletown area, and then kind of when my parents were divorced, it was like between Middletown and
Yeah, and
It was just like a weird, but yeah, kind of
okay.
like an hour upstate from the city.
Okay, cool. It's interesting because I feel like you do fit the New York vibe, but you fit the Vegas vibe so well that it's almost like crazy to me. Like having you in Vegas, I'm like, oh, this just makes sense. He's like part of the definition of Vegas to me.
See, that's interesting because I don't. I mean, I guess I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what the Vegas vibe is.
I feel like you're fitting right in. I feel like you're totally in the vibe of it, but maybe that's just me.
I've been having, yeah. I mean, I've been having fun out. I do like it a lot out here.
Yeah, it's like because I feel like there's this chillness to Vegas where like the people here are chill and you're a chill person. There's also this like bit of like promiscuity and like a little bit of a party vibe, which you also give off. So I
Yeah,
feel like you've got like that weird combination of the two on lock.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, I do. I definitely do. Yeah, I could see that. I could see that.
Yeah. So so growing up, going back, like what type of music was being played in the homes? Like, because you're balancing a little bit between two. What type of music were you kind of exposed to from an early age, or were your parents not playing a lot of music even?
So they were. My mom and my dad were both in like bands when they were younger,
Oh, cool.
and my dad was, well, still is. I mean, it's the biggest Bob Dylan fan, and
Okay.
then my mom was like the biggest Beatles fan.
Oh, sick.
So they were kind of in like the whole like hippie movement type of thing. They like to tell me we were hippies, but just not without the drugs. And I'm like, you guys, I'm in my 30s now. You don't have to lie to me anymore. But like they had that. But the thing is, I don't really have too much memory of like a song that like really hit me or something like in that, like that they were playing or anything. It wasn't until it was my older brother who was a big hip hop head,
Okay.
and I just thought anything he did was cool. So I was like, I just want to oh, he likes this, then I like that. You know, he likes this, I like that. But the one song that always just like I think was like the first, I don't know, that just something hit for some reason was like Snoop Dogg's Gin and Juice. And I almost like remember where I was like when I heard it and like
Oh,
saw the
cool.
video and stuff. And I have no idea what he was talking about. No idea what the song was about. But it was just something about it that like really, I guess, I don't know why it resonated with me.
But it like resonated with you deeply.
Yeah, it was just like I'm like I don't know what this is, but I like it a lot. And then you know, he was a big fan of Tupac. You know what's funny? What's really funny also is he was really into West Coast artists, and being from the East Coast, like he liked Tupac more than he did Biggie, and that was like a really controversial take. Like if you were from the East Coast,
Mm,
and I mean, at my age, it's not like I was I was really getting into
right.
any like big debates or anything. But for him, you know, like looking back, I'm just like, damn, that must have been kind of wild for him because he was such a big Tupac fan. But so
Mm,
he'd always have you know, these have music videos on, or he'd pick up, you know, CDs and stuff and that I'd listen to. And it kind of took over. I became like obsessed. And the first, and I also have like, I wish I could actually send you on Instagram, but
yeah.
I have like third grade journals of like Tommy's first rap or something, or Tom, you know, like and it's like, you know, I love my family, I love this is whatever. Like, so I was actually, I could go back
Yeah.
to um like I actually had like documentation of like a third grade journal of like, so I could say I started I started writing lyrics in third grade. Um, but what was cool is that the when it finally changed to, because at first it was just like whatever my brother likes, I like, and I was just, you know, that was it. But I remember Bone Thugs and Harmony, who's actually my favorite group still to this day. Just they're just been my favorite group. But I think the main reason why is because they were the first group that my brother didn't really like. He didn't like hate them or anything, but he wasn't really
Right.
into them. And I didn't. I still liked them, you know, like, and that was a big deal because it was like if he didn't like something, I didn't like it. But this was the first time where I was like, shit, I like this so much that I can't even I can't go along with it. Like, no, this is good. Like, so then I think that's where a lot of things started shifting, and I started to kind of find music that I liked without having to have his approval or anything like that, you know. Um, but yeah, I mean, and then I was obsessed. I was just obsessed with it, and I mean, it's interesting too because it was like, you know, with hip hop back then too, like in the 90s and stuff like that, where it was like really hardcore, um, just like, yes, like hardcore music that you know, I'm not from any of uh, the places they're talking about, or I'm not going through any of that, but I think it was just so much of the like genuine of how people were just, they were like superheroes, you know, they were
Yeah.
like literally like superheroes that I was watching, and I just thought were the coolest people ever, and just loved the music and then I started to really dig deep into like underground stuff, and then like, you know, going on LimeWire and fucking, you know, Napster and shit like that too, and finding just these artists that were so amazing. And I went through my phase too of like once an artist got mainstream, I didn't like them anymore.
Yep.
And, you know, stuff like that, which I hated. I was such a fucking elitist backpack guy, you know, in high school and being like, oh, you know, you like him? Well, 50 Cent. He's mainstream now. So have you heard his old mixtapes? You probably don't even know what that is. You don't know his old mixtapes.
Right.
Like, I was in that kind of, which was so fucking annoying, but
Yeah.
I was a kid, so I could give myself a pass. But yeah, and then I started to discover people like, these are like, you know, more like underground artists, but people like Chino XL, Tone Deaf, were like artists that were doing things that, or were like talking about things that were kind of so out there. Like somebody like Tone Deaf, who, if you listen to him, you'll immediately will be like, okay, I get it. I can kind of see where, you know, he got like inspiration from. But then it was even people like Talib Kweli and Mos Def and, you know, Black Thought and people like that. It was just because now all of a sudden I'm noticing, oh, wait, you don't only have to be from this area. You don't only have to talk about gangster rap and shit like that. Like, you actually can go over here and you can be funny, or you can talk about whatever. Because it was mainly once that it hit me of like, you could just be yourself. Like, that was the main thing. So now I'm noticing I'm not putting, you know, these people in the same category anymore. And it's like, now all of a sudden this is expanding. Then you have people like MF Doom, all of a sudden it's just like, what the fuck is this? And, you know, so it's all of these things where now like, oh, maybe I can fit in, or maybe I could like do something. And I'll even put, you know, Eminem there too. And that was like a whole other thing also. And I was just like, oh shit, like you could talk about whatever you're going through, and that's okay as long as you're being real with yourself. Because that's what I always, you know, felt like that was something that was very, you know, you didn't want to sound like other people. You wanted to be unique. You wanted to bust the rhymes, you know, like just how like crazy his stuff was, and, you know, the videos and the visuals and stuff like that. It was really cool. And once that happened, I think I started to kind of, you know, I was making music and just trying it out, I guess. And it was horrible. I mean, I was fucking terrible.
Right.
But that was good because I also didn't mind people telling me that I was bad. Because I was so into it that I just wanted to be good. I wanted just my friends in school to just be like, yo, that was awesome. That's all I wanted at that time, was just to go from like, you suck, to like, oh, you know, that was pretty good. And I'm like, oh, okay, well now I just want to get better for them. I want to get, you know, you guys got to hear this. You got to hear this.
I love that. I love the idea of like, I want the people who are paying attention to notice my progress.
Yeah.
That's part of that.
Yeah. Cause I mean, and also back then I really thought that, you know, handing out CDs in high school were going to make me famous. So,
right.
No, that was the whole thing too. It's like, but it was cool. You know, I just needed like that validation first before, you know, because I needed that to kind of like be like, all right, I'm on the right path somewhat. Because a lot of them were very, very straightforward with me, which was kind of surprising. You know,
which is great though too.
Yeah, it was great. It was definitely great, and you know, and I could tell they were my real friends because of that. But you know, and I'm glad they didn't just say like, you know, oh yeah, no, it's great, keep on going, man, keep on going. But there's this one story I tell. It's quick, but it's like, you know, I remember I went home, I recorded some shit for like the first time, and it was like me and my brother, and my brother was really good. Excuse me, my brother was like really, really good, and I did a couple songs with him. So I go and we had study hall, and I split off with like two of my good friends that were like really into hip hop, and I went to like study hall. They had a different, so whatever it was, split up,
Mhm.
and I'm sitting there like, man, wait till they hear this. Like, just the whole time, I'm just watching. I'm just waiting for the, for this period to end, and I can't wait to hear them, hear what they thought about it. And I walk out, they come out, and they're laughing, pointing at me, just like, yo, they're like, your brother was nice, but you were horrible. You were so like, oh my God, this is like terrible. And I was like, oh shit. I was like, I
That
gotta,
sucks.
yeah, I was like, damn, but it was a good thing because now
Right.
I was like, let me try to impress these two friends because I know they're big and into hip hop. So like,
Yeah.
let me impress them. And now that was my first goal was just like, let me make a song where they just are like, you know what, that's not terrible. And then they actually both ended up doing a song with me, which was cool because then it was like kind of like, all right, I got that respect enough to like, oh, we should do something. We should, I'm like, all right, cool, cool,
Mm.
cool. I'm working on it. But yeah, that was just funny because like that seeing that reaction was like, oh shit. Like but I was always
Just like
writing.
you're not there yet.
Yeah, I was just like, damn, I thought I was the best. You kidding me? I thought I was amazing. But I was always like writing lyrics in school and stuff. I was like pretty quiet in school, but I don't know. I hated just a lot of the whole like cliques and everything. I was kind of just like cool with everybody, but like anything that like people thought was cool, I kind of like stayed away from. And I was just more of like, I just want to work on music and play video games. Was like, that's all I wanted to do. So like, I
That's the
didn't like,
dream.
yeah, that's it. That's all I wanted.
It's still the dream. I mean, if
And
I could
that's still
just
all I do. Yes. That's still all I'm doing. It's like
I
nothing's
feel
really
that so
changed.
much. It's so hard when like girls ask me like, "What's your hobby?" And I'm like, "Oh, I do music." And they're like, "That's it?" And I'm like, "I mean, I also play video games."
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
I don't think you want to know about that. Like, yeah.
yeah,
And I'm like, and it's weird because I'm like, yeah, it's like all the music things. It's not just like I write music. Like I play music, I write music, I go to music things, I hang out with music people. Like pretty all
yeah,
absorbing. Like that's the only hobby that's going on right now. But it's also the only thing I'm like. It's all there is. For
yeah,
that specific thing because
yeah,
it's so
yeah.
much fun. I like all of it.
Exactly. And I think that's the best way to be too. And I could tell also when I like met you at the open mic and that also, I mean, you put on a whole open mic too. But I think seeing that and it's something that you like that it's very easy to tell that like you're just excited to be there. You're excited to be a part of it or whatever's going on. You go to the
Yeah.
shows, it's just like you enjoy the shows and you enjoy that. And I think that's the best part because like then you no longer have like that expectation of like, all right, I'm doing this to have this outcome. Like, and that's
Right.
it. It's like, no, you go in, you appreciate the whole thing. You appreciate the
Right.
fact, oh, cool, like this happened. You appreciate the fact that let's say you go up, you do a show and you have the worst technical difficulties ever. Now you go, well, that happened. That's a good
Right.
story. That's like you
Yeah.
take that all, and you have to enjoy all of those parts of it.
Because it's hilarious sometimes too.
100%,
And it makes
100%.
like wild stories and it improves your skill set. I mean, with the thing of like enjoying everyone else's music, I think I'm just like in a sense of wonder. Like whenever I go on vacations with my family, like, or I'm at anything, I'm just like, okay, where's the live music at? Like, let me
Yeah,
find that. And I'm just going to stay there basically the whole time
yeah, yeah,
because it's just like, oh no, that's really all I want to do, which is
yeah,
weird, but it's just, that's it.
yeah, and it's great. I mean, to again just appreciate any kind of music. I
Right.
mean, another great thing about open mics is you
You
go and
get
all of a sudden
everything.
it's just got everything. And you know, you can say, oh, I hate country or something, but then I guarantee you, you're gonna see one
country act who's sick.
motherfucker that is gonna kill it, and you're gonna, you know. I did I forgot what the name of the open mic was, but I did one, and it was like they had this house band that was like amazing, and I'm just
Right.
like, these guys are like killing it, and it's like I'm looking forward to the in between acts of them just jamming out, and it's like you know, like I'm going up to them like that was awesome.
Right. Right. Yeah, I think so. Going back a little bit to a few things you talked about when you're talking about like stuff that you're influenced by. I thought that was so interesting. That one of the big moments in music for you, like in your music education of like listening and understanding, was realizing that you could talk about anything in hip hop.
Yeah.
And also it struck me that two of your early stuff that your parents were listening to were like the Beatles and Bob Dylan, because those are both artists who sing about anything.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah. And so it's cool how that has just like kind of been a part of your life for a while. Because that is one thing I noticed instantly as I'm like, okay, this guy's not afraid to rap about anything. And it's one of the reasons I wanted you on the track Flower Gardens, is because I was like, he will, like, I was like, if I send him this, I think he's the type where he'll get it instantly and he'll have interesting thoughts on the subject. And I was right, because you came back with your verse on it, and I was just like, perfect. This is awesome.
Yeah, and I loved the fact that you didn't send me a song with like, oh, you know what, this is my funny song, so this will be the one to, like, this will fit, you know. Like, I felt like it was a song, because I don't like, again, I do, it's hard to show everybody in a 10-minute live set, right? So it's hard to show like every single thing that you can do or whatever that you like to do. But when I do collabs, I also like to, I want to step into your world. And now, because this is stuff I don't get to do. I'm not, you know, I don't know if I ever wrote a song, you know, in that, with that topic or whatever. So it was like, it was great to me, because I was more happy that I'm like, oh, okay, cool. Like, now this is something, now I get to experiment over here. And which is what, you know, drew me to the song more than just like, here's a song that, you know, you just talk your shit and whatever. And it's like, that's cool, but I do that on my own. And I kind of have like, you know, so I want to get away from that when I do a collab. I want to enter somebody else's world and then, you know, adapt to that. So like, that's what made it more fun and interesting, and like, you know, and I think that song's great.
Oh, I'm pumped about it. I've been like kind of going through it recently, because I'm getting ready for the album to come out soon, and I'm like kind of like making sure I can play all those songs in different contexts, like be able to play them on an acoustic guitar if I need to, or like, you know, be able to do them to track and everything. And I'm just like, and listening back to the song, I'm like, oh man, this is just like, I just really enjoy it. I think it's so cool what you add to it, what Amanda adds to it. Just taking it in unique directions that I hadn't thought of. And that, like, I probably wouldn't have taken it exactly in that direction, but still understanding the theme so well and personalizing the theme too, you know?
Yeah.
Which is incredible.
Yeah. And I think that's so, it's really dope. When I've sent songs to people, sometimes I notice that I end up doing the same kind of thing. I think, well, what would this person want to be on? And I did it with one time with a friend of mine, Sadistic, and I remember he, like, what I thought would be his style, I sent him the song and he was like, well, do you have anything else? And then I played him something else and he was like, oh, what about this one? I was like, I never would have sent them one.
Right.
But it was the perfect one for him to get on.
Right.
And it was great, so it's like, again, sometimes that's not the best thing to do, is just like, oh, he'll like this one or whatever. It's like, maybe it's not, maybe, it's, and that's what I think why that song is really cool. And, I had way more fun doing that. I also like too, that you approached it with, here's the song. This is like my verse. This is where I kind of want the song to go, but also here's the topic, but like you're free to do what you want, but like this is the topic of it. And that's another thing too, where like, it's different where if somebody just says, hey, yo, man, we got to build and make, and it's like, I don't know what the fuck that means. And also like, I just, if you have like an idea you really want to do and you really want to get me on song, like, and it depends who you are.
Right.
Also, I mean, I also don't like doing collabs with people that I never even had a conversation with. It's not really like the best, it's so like, that's cool too. I like doing, I mean, there's plenty of artists that I know that are like really good friends of mine that I never did a song with. And it's because it almost becomes like it's like, oh shit, should we do something? Like, aren't we supposed to? Like, but it's like,
we're so close friends, so why not?
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel that. It's interesting too, because I remember when I was even like, because I thought of you, because I was like, oh man, he's so interesting and he understands it, like, and also I think you're just incredible. So I was like, I want him on something for sure. And I was like, I think he'll have some interesting takes on this. But there was a part of me that was a little nervous because I'm like, oh wait, this is a song where I'm like talking about some like really weird things that I feel like a lot of people wouldn't relate to in the first verse, where I'm like, like, oh, I probably wouldn't try drugs because like why? But then like, I get that people do, and it's like this whole, it's like a weird random tangent that I go on, and so I'm like, I don't think he can relate to that tangent, but I was like, well, hopefully he relates to the overall topic, because that tangent has like nothing to do with who you are, but I think it's still fun, like just being able to like take these different perspectives.
Yeah, for sure. So
there's like a nervousness to that. I don't know. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, definitely. But I think it was the perfect one because it was. I mean, one, I liked the song, and then but it was just also cool that it was something. It was something different. It wasn't something that I, maybe would have ever made myself. I probably wouldn't have.
Interesting.
And that's the best part. Like,
I love that.
Yeah, that's more exciting to me because I'm always, the next record I make, I want there to be songs that, maybe not everybody's gonna. Well, I want everybody to like the song, but there's gonna be stuff where people say, oh, this is kind of different. This is, this, because I don't want to ever be like comfortable. I feel like there's so much to learn or to try and like.
Yeah.
Always. So it's like, that's the fucking coolest thing about music is you can do whatever you want with it. Like anything, any topic, any whatever that you want to talk about, you can just go with it and try it out. And hopefully not think about it too much to the point it never comes out. But sometimes that happens too,
So because you just released an album like super recently, are you already working on new material? Or
I think I think my goal is to put out a project on my birthday, May 2nd. Yeah.
Like this May 2nd?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
I think I think I can do it. Yeah, I'll do it.
Yeah, we're close, but I'm just impressed. That's super close.
Yeah, I'm always working on stuff, and I just kind of feel like, I don't know, there was like a couple songs that I was like, this could be, like, let me just keep going with this and see how, but I think I'm definitely gonna do it because I
I'm
really
so
want
excited.
it. Yeah, I really want it to come out on my birthday. So I think May 2nd I'll have another project. Yeah, like it's weird. I mean, a lot of times, a lot of people talk about doing a whole rollout and things like that, which are great. And sometimes I'm probably not the best at that. I tried a couple times and it wasn't like the greatest reception or whatever. But like I don't know, you just kind of just feel it out and see. I tried to do it the opposite, where like I just dropped an album and then decided, and then like I'm like still kind of promoting the
Last album.
people change. Yeah, so like I did that in a different way, where I tried to do it like drop the album and then just keep promoting it, because I realized that sometimes people are they just kind of like they forget about it, or they say they're going to listen to it.
So you're saying that you tried like promoting it after the fact, like after it came out?
Yeah, so because what I felt like what happened to me with when I put out this one project, Tired and My Back Hurts, it was like I did so much with thinking of different videos and stuff to like promote it, and I did these little skits, and it was probably the most that I did like a rollout, I guess you could say, like up until the thing. But I felt like the rollout and the skits almost got more attention than the actual album did. So that was another thing that I was like, well, now it's like the album's out and people are kind of like, all right, like next. Where I don't there's just no right answer to this shit,
Oh, totally.
yeah. And I think that's the main thing. Is like I don't think a rollout hurts at all. I don't think any kind of promotion is gonna hurt in any kind of sense, but you just really don't know. I mean,
Yeah.
I mean that's where all those you have plenty of people trying to sell you on what you should do and stuff, because of course, I'll make sure that it'll hit all these places, and then you get caught up in a Spotify thing
Right.
but like those, I don't listen to any of those things, or like I'm not paying somebody to guarantee some shit for me, because it's just not how it works. It really isn't, like your least favorite song on the album that you're like, I don't really know if I want to put that on, that could be the best song ever.
Right. That could get radio play.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm I don't want to like, I'm getting like so bitter to the point that like, I mean, I don't want to be like so pessimistic, but it's almost the opposite. It's like, no, I'm just being real with, like you just don't know. You really don't know. And yeah, and that's just how it goes. It's like, I just don't like the fact when people are selling you, they're selling you something that is just not like, it's just not possible. Like obviously if there was a, perfect way to do this and you're successful, if you do this and this, then bam, and that's how it works. It's like, well, everybody would do that.
Right.
But if you talk to 10 different artists that made it, I'm sure they all have different stories on how it happened. Like, but yeah. So that's like,
that's interesting. I saw an ad recently where these people were promoting some, class where they're like, oh, we're going to teach you how to make a viral video. And you look at the video that they're posting, like their ad, and it doesn't have that many views. So you're like, wait.
Yeah. Like, yeah. My favorite is you always get the most advice about what you should do with your music from people that aren't successful in music. It's just like, it's amazing. It's amazing how that stuff works, And I know people that work for Def Jam and like are A&Rs, people that have like all of this shit, and it's there's just no, I mean, it's really about like right now the whole game is just so fucking weird. But it's just all about their followers anyway. Like they're not listening to you or give a fuck about you unless your following is up. If you have this many followers, if you have this many views on this song or whatever, it's like then
Right.
they'll give you the time of day, but they don't care about anything else. I mean, these are like actual friends of mine couldn't, would it bring my music to, the table because they're just like, we can't do anything. Like you have to get your numbers up,
Right.
like before anything else. And that's why I think right now the best thing to do, and I've always felt like this, but now even more so, is gain your cult following, have people that support your music, and like worry about that more than becoming Drake or
Right.
superstar, whatever. It's like, because you see them, I mean, album sales are even going down, not for people like Drake. I mean, Drake's always going to be, in that 1%.
Right.
But, you see other artists that are like big artists that the drop is crazy, and then the labels don't know what to do with them, and now they're stuck in contracts, and they are doing shows for, let's say they're used to getting 500,000 per show. Now all of a sudden they're getting booked for 50,000. Now look, for you or me, that's fine.
Oh yeah,
doing
50
it.
grand. I'm good for like a couple years.
Yeah, I will do a fucking 5-hour set. Standing on needles. I don't know, whatever. But like, it's like for but to go from 500,000 to now they're getting offered 50,000, and they're like, nah, man, fuck that. Like, I'm not doing that. Whatever. That's like that's a big deal to them, but I think then ego gets in the way because now they don't want to do smaller venues. They don't want to do, they go from a stadium to now tickets aren't that great. Their buzz isn't the same. And now they're just doing you got booked at this local bar or something. And they're like, I'm not doing that. I'm not going to, perform there. But it's like, why not? Why not?
Yeah.
And it's more of just an ego thing. And unfortunately that's going to be the downfall for them if they don't decide that. I mean, it is also, in their defense, you now have social media where if they show up and there's only, 30 people that show up or something, all of a sudden that's going to go viral and people are going to say,
Right.
What happened? You suck, you this, whatever. So, I mean, it's too bad that that's how it is, but fuck it. I mean,
Yeah. Well, it's interesting too with like the social media aspect and like the following and how much people pay attention to that. Cause I've been to shows where the artist will have like 100,000 followers on Instagram. And then I go to their show and they can't get like 5 people to show up.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what?
Yep.
I'm so baffled. I think so. None of that's real then, or if it's not real, at least they're not here. So what does it
Right.
matter?
Right.
If your
And,
100,000 followers don't show up for you when you're doing a gig in Las Vegas, no one in Las Vegas should care.
Right. Yeah. And depending on the following too. I did a show with a couple, it was the first time I did a show, and this is actually kind of recently. I did a show with some, like, I don't want to call them TikTok artists, but like that's where they kind of blew up and where they have their following. And there was like 3 of them who have like 500,000 followers to 1 million followers. And we were in, I think, Brooklyn or something. And like, now there was probably a good like 30 to 40 people, I would say. But again, doing the math here is like still kind of crazy to be like, you can be huge on TikTok or whatever, all this and like, and to still see a show with that amount of people was like, I don't, these numbers, like you were saying, it's like, I don't even know where, but it could also just be a casual fan. It could be,
Right.
or it could be a bunch of, 14-year-olds that
Right.
they can't go to the show or whatever the reason is. And it's very, very strange. And it's like, I see bands like Coheed and Cambria, just to bring them up again. It's just somebody who, like, if for the most part, if they know who Coheed and Cambria is, if you bring them up now, they'll be like, oh yeah, I remember them. They like, I remember this one song back then. They used to whatever.
Yeah, like Welcome Home or something like that.
Yeah. So it's like, oh yeah, I remember they used to do that. But like right now, they've been selling out and doing bigger shows than they ever have. And
Right.
and that's like such a, people wouldn't think so because it's just like, wait, oh, I thought they did. But their cult following and their followers are so dedicated and so into everything that it's like they're always going to have that following. They're
Right.
always going to be able to sell out shows and do things and stuff. And I think that they have like two really big tours coming up and stuff. But it's like seeing that just makes you realize too of like just how like they're the ones that are making I guess like making money or whatever and like actually doing so. I don't know exactly how much. I don't want to.
Right. But they're making good money out of
But
it.
yeah, but they're making a living off of it, and that's something where really it's up to them. If they stop, that's the only time that they're going to stop. Making
Right.
money off. I mean, it's like they'll be able to tour for the rest of their life, and it'll be great and fine. And I think some of the underground hip hop artists are becoming like really, really good. We got another visitor. We got to, they're the ones that are going to be able to continue making music and stuff because
Right.
they have those followings and they're not worried about being the number one artist or anything, but they're also not going to just be a flash in the pan either. Like,
Right.
so it's really interesting just where music is going in general.
Yeah, it's interesting. Yeah, I just think it's fascinating because I think those analytics can sometimes make you think something's going on with an artist when it actually isn't. Analytics can be deceiving, and a lack of analytics can be deceiving, like you're saying with Coheed, where I think the difference with Coheed is like every single person listening to them wants to go to a Coheed show.
Right.
When I check out, like whenever Coheed is touring, I look at the thing and I'm like, are they touring? Like, are they coming to Vegas? Because if they're coming to Vegas, I want to go to that show because I know it's going to be incredible.
Yeah.
And I haven't even seen them live. I just know.
Yeah. It's fucking amazing.
I'm sure they're ridiculous.
Their shows are so good. And yeah. And that, that too, that has a lot. That's one thing, man, I would love to, a budget would be very nice also, but like, I think the live show, I think there's so much to do. And like, that's one thing I'm brainstorming all the time. And it's like, I'm curious to see what I can do with a live show, but it's also tough too, because a lot of my sets are like 10 to 15 minutes right now. If I'm doing like, kind of, it's part of other people's shows and things.
Yeah. I hate that. I actually hate that aspect of hip hop. I hate the 10 to 15 minute set. I think it is stupid. That's like why whenever I put on a show, I'm like, I want everyone doing at least a 25-minute set because then you have time. You have time to invest yourself in the show.
Yeah, for sure. And it's cool to. I mean, that's also one thing. is when you do get booked for like a 10 to 15-minute show, you kind of think like, what can I do to grab the crowd? Now I only have this amount of time. What can I do? Like even the last show at
Taverna.
Was like that was very last. Like Larry hit me up very last minute and
Right.
was just like, do you want to? And I'm like, yeah, sure, I'll do a couple songs. But like that's when you also have to decide too, where what do I do in that amount of time to stand out or to have people remember you and stuff, and so I guess there's like that's part of it too, which is kind of cool to like, I feel like I've kind of gotten down to like I can put on a pretty solid like 15-minute set and feel good about it. But the only thing is a lot of times I have to leave out where if I have, let's say, a 30-minute song, I will do a song from Chemical Imbalance.
Right.
And now that changes a lot because now people go from, oh, he's just like this like funny kind of like, what the fuck am I listening to? What is he talking about? To like now, wait, where did this whole mental health, very deep, like depressing song come from? And then go back to over here or whatever. But it's like now that switches it up a lot to like, there's different things I can hit in that time where I feel like it makes sense. Where if I just did like, here's Grandma's Boy. Oh, here's a song about suicide, and now here's a song about here's Richard, and now it's like what the fuck just happened?
Right.
Which could also be kind of cool too. I don't know, but
right. Where with like a full set you can do like, oh, like I'm doing Grandma's Boy, and then I can do something that's a little bit in between, like Adam Sandler or something.
Yeah.
And then I can do that deep depressing song, and then I can get back up doing something like Average, and then do something like Richard, where you have like more time to explore that full range.
Yeah, yeah, and I feel like when you have a longer set too, it's almost better to do that because then you keep people interested. So now you go from okay, I think I see where this show was going. I see what kind of music he's doing. Oh wait, I didn't see that happening. Now now it's like what's next? I don't know where this is going. So yeah. I mean, but that all that just to say, like, I just really would love to, like, I it's a lot of brainstorming at the moment, but like, I really want the live show to be something like special. And I feel like, cause I feel like that's like my favorite thing to do. I absolutely love performing.
Same.
And I just feel like I could do more with it, but it kind of, I kind of got, so again, just like the way that I started making beats and I started mixing my own stuff, it was the same thing when I was touring. I tried to get a DJ to come with me on tour, but like when he realized that there won't be any money that will be made here, like, or I mean, you sell merch and shit like that, but it's like I don't have a like this amount I can pay you type of thing. But do you want to go and just ride out and try to whatever? Once that happened, and it was like they said no. Friends of mine were just like, oh, I got things to do, and like not in like a bad sense. I mean, they got families, they got things to do.
Right.
I left on tour. My first tour, I lost my job, I lost my apartment, but I was like, fuck it, this is what I've been trying to do. I'm out, no problem, I'm gone. But when I did that, it also made it like I was like, okay, well now how do I make a show dope without all these other elements? So now I have to start thinking, all right, well now how can I? So like actually I use my laptop for most of the shows when I can, because I like a lot of the shows I do now, they just want like a USB. But with my laptop, I have these little like sound effects or things that I can also incorporate with the show.
Oh, cool.
And it's been like really fun. I can, I kind of have time to fuck around with the crowd a little bit.
Yeah.
And I'll have just a little thing that I can, and it's just like, it brings another element to it. So that was something that I'm like, okay, well, I don't have a DJ. So how do I make this not awkward between songs, or something, or how do I, so those are things I was trying to figure out. And like, how can I make this exciting, but also being very minimal with what I have? So it's like, now that I feel comfortable there, it's like, now I want to make it into just a really good show. Like I just think, which I think will happen, and it's just going to take like some time and really like figuring out how I want to do it. But yeah, cool. I just have to get better at fucking memorizing songs. That's the thing.
Dude, I feel that. I'm like constantly trying to like remember all my lyrics, and that's one of the reasons I do a lot of my new stuff at open mics, because I'm like, I just need to run through these lyrics, and I tell everyone before I start, I'm like, I'm doing this in a weird situation. Like, I normally do this song to track because it's a hip hop song. I'm doing it on acoustic guitar, and I'm probably gonna F up some lyrics. Just in case everyone knows. And then I do it. I screw up some lyrics, and I'm like, that's the point of doing this. Like, so that when I get to a show, I'm flawless.
Yeah.
No mistakes.
Yeah. And I think, even making the mistake, but not making it such a big deal, because if you don't make it a big deal, it's not a big deal to anybody else. Yeah. So it's like, because I could tell you probably every single show I've done, I might have probably fucked up one thing here and there. I made a mistake somewhere or whatever, but like, I learned very quickly to not make it a thing,
Right.
Because that'll change,
Yeah, I found that, because I used to play like little piano recitals when I was a kid. And I found that like joking around with it, like making every mistake a joke, made me feel more comfortable. And then I didn't make any mistakes, because I was like, even if they come, I can joke around with it. I can make it funny and have a good time with it. And people would laugh and be entertained, and that's just as good.
Yeah, exactly. And that's way better than being like, oh God, like, oh shit. But then when you just say straight up, like this just popped in my head just because, but like Action Bronson was doing a Tiny Desk concert, and he fucks up the lyrics, and he stops. He looks at the band, and he's just like, hold on, no, we have to bring that back. He's like, I'm sorry, that edible just kicked in, and like this, he's like, I am blazed out of my fucking mind right now, but we're gonna get this. But like, that became such like a great moment of the Tiny Desk thing. That was so good. It was hilarious. It was like, yeah, who cares? Like, now nobody cares about like, and it almost was the highlight to me. Right. That's the first thing I thought of, and how like fun and funny it was, that he did that. It was like, but yeah, so that's the, it's really just about how you like recover from it or whatever it is. And also knowing that most people probably aren't going to notice unless it's a really big deal. Like if you say the word duh instead of when, or, you say, I don't know, whatever. It's just like,
no one cares.
Nobody is really, you're just going to be like, fuck, what did I said something. I said the wrong thing. I said there's been times where I said oh my God, when I said I started with the second verse, and then I had to come back in with the first verse as the second verse. And it was like, I'm like, I don't even know what I'm doing. I'm like, I'm just hoping this somehow works. Sometimes the beat is like, I didn't realize was longer in the first verse. Right. And then I have to just like still pretend like it's going. But yeah, it's all like, again, having a good time, like remembering that it's like, you like doing this. This is fun. Right. It's a good time. People want to have fun. It's like, just chill. Just chill a little bit,
Yeah. I really like the way you like harness your energy too for different occasions. Cause like with that last Taverna show, it was kind of chaotic because the weather was screwing things up. Like you could feel a little bit of like tension in the air. And instead of like kind of trying to like push it to the side and ignore it, you were like, no, I'm bringing it out. So you were like pissed the entire show, and you made it like part of the show that you were pissed off at everyone there.
Yeah. And the funny thing is, too, it's like, because again, I think I was telling you that night also that like I don't plan anything, and I just go off of. But I think, you know, once like, so something like that where the whole show gets changed. Now again, for me, I was there to support, you know, support Larry, support whoever doing the show. Cool. I'm just here. I'm just doing a couple songs. I'm just here, whatever. But like, you know, when things get changed around like that, when there's weather, when there's there's all kinds of things going on. It's like people are now in a smaller space, and they're, you know, maybe they're all whatever. I don't have as much room, but it's like, just for whatever reason, that was the angle I went. But I was also like, obviously not like actually angry, but it's like it's so funny to get a reaction of like in that moment of, again, like you said, you know, kind of, it was weird. It was like there was tension, there was some drama going on, some weird things going on.
Yeah.
But it's like when you just go up, and I almost feed off of that stuff in like a weird. It's like, it's almost like really fun.
Same. That's what I'm saying. Like when people are like super up in themselves and douchebags, I'm like, this is energy to me. This is life. Like I love it. So like, it's one of the things that attracts me to hip hop is how wild the like egos and drama can get. And I just feed off of it, and I love it. And I want to, like, it makes me want to perform even better because I think it's so funny.
Yeah, and it's so fun. I love those moments of, you know, whatever, and to make people, you know, almost, it's like, you know what, I'm not gonna, if people are gonna make me feel uncomfortable, I'm gonna go with it, and I'm gonna try to out uncomfort you. You know, like I'm gonna roll up and say, you know, if I start out the set with, you know, what's up, you fucking idiots, you know, it's because now all of a sudden it's just like people who don't know who I am are just like, what the fuck is happening here? And then also it's like, but it's also kind of it's like almost like relieving tension or whatever the fuck's going on in the room. It's like, whatever, now I'm gonna just go. And that was actually really fun because I had such a quick set, so it was cool to just like go boom 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 and then leave. You know, and then it's just like get off, and people are like, "What the fuck just happened?" You know, like, and I love that. I love that. Feeling. I mean, you know, and again, then being, you know, when people came up to me after and stuff and being like, "Oh, you know, like I really like the show," and I'm just like, "Oh yeah, thank you so much." Like, you know, like, I'm not actually mad at anybody. I think you all are great. Think,
You're just like happy and like this like children.
Yeah. Like, I don't want, you know. I think even at the end too, you know, just like, thanks guys. But like, but it's just something like, for whatever, if I feel that way, I go, you know, there's been times on tour and stuff where, because you never know what you're going to get and stuff. And there's been some really interesting things where I'm like, you know what, I'm going to do something purposely to like, just be like very strange. Like one random story, I was it was like my least favorite venues to play are the ones where, I don't know if you've ever played one where they have, it's like, let's say it's at a bar, but there's one room that has the bar and the other room is like literally closed off unless you decide to enter it, where the stage is and where people are performing.
I hate
because
that.
It's the worst. It's the worst setup unless you're a huge, you know, unless you're a very well-known artist or whatever. But it's like, if you're touring or whatever the fuck,
no one's coming in there.
No, people are just trying to hang out at the bar. So the best thing is to obviously have a bar by the stage and, or whatever in the venue, all that. But so it was something like that. And, there was only like a couple people there. And I had like, let's say 5 songs or something, whatever that I was going to do. And I completely skipped one song and I was just like, hey, so right now for the next 4 minutes, we're going to listen to, it on audiobook. And I just pressed play and I just sat there and just stared at it as it's just reading. It's just reading the opening chapter and I just stared at people and like, so those moments are hilarious. The only thing that I am glad that it didn't go, I didn't realize how intense the book actually is.
It's a very intense book.
I never read it completely, but it's like, people were like, it's a good thing you didn't get too far into that book because it would have got like very, very awkward. But it just happened to be on my laptop or something. But so doing things like that, I do really like. There's even, I guess I could even say like people like Andy Kaufman and stuff like that, or like even like fucking Sacha Baron Cohen and these people. Yeah. I would say like there's a style in it sometimes with my performances that I like to. When I see something going so awkward or like, and I'm just like, what the fuck is this? Like, I like feed into it and I want to just see how crazy it can get or how weird it can be. And that's part of the fun with like, I enjoy that. I feed off of that, like.
It's brilliant and it's brave. It reminds me of, do you get into Tig Notaro at all? She's a comedian. She does this one act. She did a stand-up set on Conan where for like the last like 6 minutes of the set, she's just pushing a chair because she thinks the sound it makes is funny. So she has like her mic like up to the chair and she just starts pushing it and she pushes it like all the way around the entire set. And like people are just dying. And it's the funniest thing because of like the context and because of different things. But it's so brave to do something like that. To take a thing where it's like, oh, you're supposed to be listening to me telling jokes, but now I'm going to do something different. It's like, you're supposed to be listening to me doing hip hop. Now for 5 minutes, you're just going to stare at me and I'm going to stare at you as we all listen to this audiobook together. Like that is crazy behavior, but I love it so much.
Yeah, that was, like I recently saw like an old clip of Tom Green that like his stand up, that he just like screamed. He just like did these weird noises. And for the first minute, people are like laughing. And then people start heckling him. Then people are getting mad. And then he gets kicked off the stage. But it's I think all of that stuff is just,
it's awesome.
It's great. It's
so cool.
I love that. I love that kind of like style of, whatever, performance art, whatever, that kind of thing. Like, I think it's really fun.
Yeah. Well, I'm really excited for May 2nd now. And it's been really great talking to you. I think you're so interesting. And I love seeing you at shows and just like, cause I'm just like, oh, dope. Like I have someone here who I know who's like got good taste. So that almost like shows me like, okay, I'm at a good show. Cause Upgrade's here. Like there's going to be a good act at some point in the evening, and yeah, I'm excited for everything coming from you and I love everything you've put out. So, keep on.
Oh yeah. No, I appreciate it. And I'm looking forward to the album. When do you have a release date for your?
Yeah, it's coming out actually this next Monday, March 18th.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
Are you doing anything for like a release party or something like?
Yeah. Have you, the one I texted you about that I wanted you to do a show for it. Yeah.
Wait,
April 12th.
No, when is that? Because I have it on.
Yeah, it's April 12th.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I'll be sending flyers and links probably tomorrow morning for that.
Okay. All right, cool. Also, don't kill me if I can't do our song.
Oh, why wouldn't you be able to do the song?
Because I don't think I'm gonna be able to memorize it.
You can memorize it. That's it's. I feel like if you can't, it's okay. But
I'll do.
I
All
feel like you
right, I'll
got
do my best.
if you don't, just freestyle it,
All right, I'll try.
or just
all right, fuck it.
or stand up there awkwardly, like all of those words.
just play the It audiobook.
Yeah, play the audiobook on the microphone while the track's going.
I might, you know what I might do, and I'm so against this, but I might have to do. We might have to have the track playing.
Okay, I mean we'll have like the doubles on it for sure.
All
We'll
right.
figure something out. We'll figure something out.
All right, but yeah.
I believe in you. I feel like
I suck so much at memory, but all right, well, I got some time.
yeah, it's like a month away.
Yeah.
I feel like you could do it. Anyway, okay, dope talking to you. I'll see you later.
Yeah, no. Likewise, thanks for having me on, and
Absolutely.
yeah.
Okay,
Later,
bye.
man.
We hope you enjoyed this week's episode, and we'll be back soon with Kevin and Fire Upon drums. Until then, listen to good music.